Yes, come on. Session 15, feeling triumphant. Woo! This is not wet. It's not wet from pool, it's wet from sweat. Probably a little bit out of pool as well. Man, that was tough. Did not leave myself enough time. Got there, needed a poo. I'm like, I don't have time for this. But there's two, you can't risk it. So that took like 4 minutes. No, it doesn't need to take that long, but that's how long it takes, all right? Anyway, so when I get to the pool, there's 39 minutes of the session left. So I'm like, I actually am not gonna make it. What am I gonna do? So I'm like, okay, well, all I can do right now is, at the moment, if I just think I'm not gonna make it, I'm not gonna make it. All I can do is try and make it. So I tried and made it every 10, like having less break than I normally would. My arms were never, my right arm and right shoulder were never loosening up. So there's normally a sweet spot window where my feels like my muscles loosen up at around, I don't know, it changes, but before lap 20, yeah? Length 20, sorry. So I'm like waiting for that to happen. It never happened. My arm never felt like it loosened up enough that I was swimming and it wasn't pulling against myself, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't make sense, but that's what it feels like. It feels like you're competing against one of your arms, just without the power in it. Anyway, I keep doing my 10s, thinking I'm not going to make it, but what can I make? Like, what would not be a disaster? 40, obviously want to get to 40. Like, I think I'll make that. And I got to 40 with probably 6 minutes left. And I'm like, I could just call it a night. That'd be a nice round number, or I could go for it and hope that they are going to be a little bit lenient at the end of the session time. If I've got my earplugs in, I can barely hear what's going on. And if I just keep that, touch the wall and don't stop, just turn around and go back, then maybe, just maybe, I'll sneak, I don't know, 46. Anyway, 46. I'm looking around, the lifeguard's still busy tidying up the pool. I'm the only one in the pool, by the way, for the last 15 minutes. Lifeguard sweeping up around the pool, doing stuff. I'm like, okay, I'll just do another 2. 48. Look around. They're like, they've not made a move for me yet. It's gone over the time now. I'm like, okay, I'll just sneak another 2, and then out of nowhere I've done 50. I get to the end of the first one, so 49, and the lifeguard's standing there like, can I have a word? And I'm like, okay, it was a valiant effort, but this is it. I've got to 49, not 50. And the lifeguard, very sweet young lady, said, you know what, crack on, I can still do stuff, swim as much as you want. I'm like, I only need to do 1 and I only want to do 1. I've not got strength for anything more than that. As she's talking, I feel my leg cramping up because I've really been pushing it. And I was like, I just need to do 1 more for my 50. She was like, go for it. Thank you so much. You don't know what that means for me to be able to just complete this round number. So I do the slowest lap I've ever done. That kind of like balance between not moving my leg at all, because feeling like it will absolutely seize up, cramp up, and I'll need rescuing, which would be terrible. I've just seen the size of this lifeguard. There is no way she'd be able to rescue me. So that balance between that and just like enough just to keep it ticking along. Anyway, I got to the end. Unbelievable. Look up, and it's probably 30 seconds over the session time. Like, so even with that disruption, like, it's hard for me to see with glasses, sorry, without my glasses on, with the goggles and the water, and it's an analog clock, not the one. So like, maybe I'd slightly, I don't know, not got it quite right as to how long was left. Either way, I did go over the session time by a few seconds, less than a minute. There was some jeopardy there that I might have been booted out the pool earlier. But I've ended up having a really lovely experience. I was then able to share a little about what I'm doing with the lifeguard, which sounds a bit dramatic. Share what I'm doing. Anyway, she was really impressed. She was like, I couldn't do that. That's great. I just felt a little bit buoyant, encouraged by that. So it was great. All the while, you've got to know that I'm thinking of how am I going to explain this to the people that are cheering me on if I haven't managed 50? They're depending on me. I know you're not depending on me, but they are rooting for me. I've got to get 50. And I'm just tonight, like, absolutely delighted. So made up. It just, like I said at the start, triumphant. So thank you so much for cheering me on. Those words, messages that you send me stay in my head as I'm swimming and just get me over the line. So yes, I will sleep well tonight.